App fabulous, don't you wanna try it?
Hey, App Fabulous family. It's your hostess, Justine, here on the App Fabulous podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We have taken a short little break after launching our first 5 episodes, and I'm really excited to give you this first Teach Techies exclusive episode. So, about every 4 or 5 episodes, you can expect an episode here that will be tied into Teach Techies HQ. This podcast is actually sponsored by Teach AI Foundation, a foundation devoted to elevating the practices of those who teach professionally and want the supportive assistance and support structures of artificial intelligence. And how do we all learn together how to use these items and inputs like LLMs and different apps in order to streamline our work processes that are more task-based, that are things that we don't need to be holding the cognitive load for, and might be much better spent doing things like creating our own apps or creating our own books, creating our own music, creating our own gardens. Whatever those things are that align to your gifts and passions, this is what the Teach Techies headquarters, Teach Techies community, everything Teach Techies is, which is part of the Teach AI Foundation ecosystem. So every time you listen to this podcast, just so you know, we do have an exclusive sponsor, and it happens to be a nonprofit called Teach AI Foundation. I'll continue to share more if this is something that interests you. And as always, for any resource links or blog articles related to practices, use case studies, and more in-depth features, analysis, my hot nerd alert, final reviews of different apps, that's where you'll go to the blog for App Fabulous, the official App Fabulous blog. Okay, so this first Teach Techies episode, one of the things I wanted to talk through was how are you showing up as yourself through the distortions that happen in digital spaces. So I don't just mean social media. I don't just mean if you are a person who does code development, if you're a streamer, no matter what avenues you are in the space of teaching and technology. This is such a huge part of our evolution in society and in humanity. And I can't let this moment in history and herstory, really our story of humanity, pass by without denoting these really important things. And I would be remiss, especially because my background is in cultural psychology research, if I didn't share other insights with you along the way and made it sound like it's only about finding the best apps. To really get into this conversation about sovereignty and how we really help ourselves evolve in a world where sometimes when you really look at it flattened, a lot of communication systems are operating about 500 years apart just on planet Earth. And what I mean by that is there are still many regions of the world where you're not necessarily going to have consistent Wi-Fi access. And is it really necessary in those civilizations and populations in the ways of life that are still upheld? Possibly not. I don't know. I don't have answers to anything as far as this is a solution, this is the way. What I do have is a lot of insight, wisdom, and lived experiences that can share with you, especially through the lens of educating and sharing knowledge with others, and how we exchange that learning together, how we strengthen our own skills by connecting and collaborating with one another. Those things happen and actually can happen more frequently and effectively because of technology platforms. So without understanding such human aspects of who we are and how we function each day, our internal hardware, our internal systems, then it's really, really difficult to understand that when we're asking an LLM such as ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or Claude, whatever type of system that has now replaced Google or Bing. And it hasn't replaced it. One thing to differentiate between answer engines and search engines is they are just giving you a little bit different output in the processes by which they do it. All are designed from an initial frame, a frame of thinking or a mental model. So when you hear someone say framework, it's a frame to guide the thinking of how they expect people to behave and work. So when we use those systems such as ChatGPT, you are simply, through your own levels of awareness, that system is going to mirror back to you its best, fast, not efficient, not accurate, fast, unless you're changing settings and knowing how to operate with these things. They are just going to give you a collective mumbo jumbo summary of words of whatever has collectively been uploaded through questions and conversation. Large language model then assesses all of that. That's what a large language model is. It takes in all of that. That's why you might get different types of answers that you go, what? Why do I have to ask it so many more questions? Or why does it say this? Or why do I now look this up and this says this is inaccurate, or that's a lie, or it's not the same over here when I look at the actual text. Oh, picking up books, still such an important part. And yes, even on a podcast about apps and technology, I will tell you that one of the fastest ways to build your knowledge as an educator, as a professional in technology, as a business person, no matter what field you find yourself in, is through audiobooks and actual physical books, reading, marking them up, journaling. Those are the cognitive load processes that when we try to outsource and use these systems that just mirror back kind of a mumbo jumbo of millions of different questions and conversation, that is then mirrored back in the language we use to ask for the answer. When it's a search engine, you're searching and they're taking in keywords and combing the internet. Answer engines, they're also combing the internet, obviously, and they're doing it very, very fast. They're computing the data at fast levels and sorting it. However, they are often not checking for accuracy. And we have to get more in depth about then the parameters and the guardrails, you being the framework holder of what drives you, your norms, your beliefs, your culture, the language you use, how you speak, the symbols that are important to you, how you write. All of these pieces matter in how you're also directly able to prompt and converse and train those LLM systems that you're using, these other apps and different types of technology systems. So all of that to say, in this Teach Techies episode, I want to redirect you. I'll link below a short about a quick explainer. It's about 3 minutes long, and it just gives you a very brief overview of the key differences between search engine optimization and answer engine optimization. Okay, I can't wait to share with you all some more apps along that same vein of whoa. The algorithms change. I see people saying social media is dying. So if you're a person in these spaces and you have cared about numbers, not for vanity, not for external validation, but for business growth or book growth or newsletter growth or getting in front of aligned audiences, getting into Google results, creating a strong digital footprint in the new era of artificial intelligence, then you are in the right place. But that I can't wait to share more apps about how I've been doing that over the past year and really pivoting and repositioning some brands within my own atmosphere that I work with to not only support colleagues, but to support my own consulting firm and practices and how I work with clients as a consultant, as a speaker, in this space of education, technology, and then human talent, how we not only manage ourselves and understand our unique talents and what we bring to the workplace table, however that looks for each of us, in person, digital, different formats, as companies shift and change, as systems and structures evolve and change, we must all remember a simple detail. energy does not die. It is only transformed. So when you are using answer engine optimizations, just as an example, remember that that will become transformed into something else. So be aware of how you are conversing and putting word into the atmosphere. I have my own shortcomings and mistakes and learnings when it comes to this. And I consider myself a lifelong learner and practitioner of not only growing and learning and developing and accepting myself, but also sharing my life openly in a lot of ways as a living testimony, specifically as a researcher, entrepreneur, and writer, because these are things that they have required me to get out of my comfort zone with producing content, how I put my face on the internet, how I share with people, and how I streamline and build funnels, engagement, all of those pieces that are also a very big, important aspect of entrepreneurship. I personally would love to say, yes, it's all about just being creative and sitting in your garden and meditating all day, because I strive to always infuse more of that into my day. And though I am working towards a healthier balance so that I'm no longer in a workaholic mode as I used to be as a K-12 teacher and principal. And then early in my consulting career, the first 5, 6, 7 years of my consulting career in research, in training and development, program development spaces for educational leaders, for nonprofits, and then also for corporations internationally and nationally to the United States. I want to express this knowledge in ways that helps people who you might just be starting your career, and even if you're entering a traditional K-12 public school system, or you are 50 years old, you are exiting a career workspace that you've been in for a long time, and you're like, I don't even know where to begin with tech, and I feel embarrassed about it. First of all, do not feel embarrassed. If anybody tries to tell you they can keep up with all the shifts in tech, or they're an author and they're like, yeah, I know all the genres in writing, it's the same thing. If you're a musician and you try to say, oh yeah, I can play every instrument. Now, are there anomalies? Are there very gifted people who apply themselves to specific crafts and develop these type of skills and perhaps are savants? Absolutely. So I'm not discounting nuance and how expressively each of us get to create and through expression, show the world and tell the world about our own humanity. I am continually impressed by how I see people showing up and not cowering to these fear-based systems that so urgently are and need to crumble and have needed to crumble and be transformed into something healthier. You can't spell the word healthy without the word heal. And now I'm preaching, so I know it's time to close out. So if you comment or see this on platforms where you can comment, please comment what apps you have been into lately. Also, the questions you have. Put the questions out there. Nothing is off the table. This is I am going with the flow. I have a wonderful colleague named Pragati, and I'm actually in a micro course of hers right now. She's an incredible change management and development consultant with a lot of different teams across sectors like business, technology, etc. And hers is another interview I might link from a companion podcast in case you want to get to know her work. But I will share more updates on that here because I am doing what's called a stress test specifically for one of our programs we're launching within Teach Techies. So in this community, and as we have more people join and I open the doors on different opportunities to do this, this is why I need you all to engage. So make sure you're hitting subscribe and follow on your favorite platforms. You want to do that on YouTube by going to @Justine Gonzalez. This is where this podcast is streamed exclusively and fed on the YouTube atmosphere. And consequently, that is the channel where you're going to see most of my tech videos, hand in hand with a lot of my creative videos. I love to make earrings, whole other thing. And there you see me talk about how I blend all these parts of who I am as well without losing myself in the technology of it all, without losing that true soul essence that we each want to divinely shine through in our creative expression that we bring into the world each day that we get to wake up here. And that is such a beautiful sentiment that I want to end with. So as you're exploring, just don't drop into those spaces. I've done it myself. So that's why I'm telling you, don't do it. It's not necessary. Don't get into those emotional spaces of defeat where you just throw it all up and say, oh, I'll never be able to figure this out. There are so many avenues and facets. The reason I was going on a minute ago about it's no different than somebody saying, oh, I know everything. I would never sit here and tell you just because I have a certification, a specific certification in AI, and I have been involved in some different program things the past few years, I would never tell you, oh, yes, I could tell you everything about all of this. No. So be aware that this world is so big. And our algorithms, especially if you get a lot of information from social media or TV platforms, streaming platforms, you're very limited to what that algorithm is trying to really put you into a very, very small space of thinking. So remember, the world is big. You are not behind. And the little tidbit I'll leave you with is that there is no spark. There is no spark of creativity and organization or thought behind the cognitive load in a very literal sense that AI bears. There's no replacement for you and how you do what you do, how you do it, why you do it. So it's never been a better time. And that is what the Teach Techies community is all about. That is why there are different avenues being taken, and we have sponsorship with a nonprofit because it is important and near to and dear to me as a former teacher. So no, our community is not just for teachers, but please know there will be specific resources and supports and all types of things just for educators, because that is who I am. And that is how my career path and journey have started in my soul path. And I know they have for millions of other people around the world. But as our systems grow and change, we must also grow, shift, adapt, and change. And I know that these changes can feel really wild, and they can make us feel kind of icky about our own skill and talent levels, as if, well, what was all that work and learning for 20 years if now I can type something in and it gives me that same answer of in 5 seconds? No. That is such small thinking, and I want to remind you, it's just a framework. Those are just a framework. ChatGPT is a framework that if I wanted to hand it to you in a binder and bring it to a training, I could say this is the framework. That's what everything is derived from, a thought and idea, and think about who contributed to it and why they were doing it. We get to transform the ultimate purpose and energetic frequency that it holds in our lives and in our paths. So how will we use that particular technology paired with the integration of understanding our own biological technology that no two people are exactly the same on earth. No one can take that essence from you. That's your soul essence. So I don't even beyond just the genetic material that is our DNA technology. We have technological systems, our nervous system, our neurological systems, our digestive system. Technology is fashioned off of us, you all. It's fashioned off of nature. We are nature. So it's artificial because it's still mimicking through a framework, trying to be like us. It can't do what we do. And that's not a bash. We love you, AI, and we love your purposes. It's how do we bring those things together, because it isn't just one or the other. It's not. And that's what so many oppressive systems have taught each of us to think. Well, if I'm not this, then I don't fit in here. Well, if I don't have this title, then I shouldn't be doing this job. I didn't pay this in this way, so I'm going to get in trouble. That is the guilt and shame spiral and fear that we have often been programmed in the current structures to believe. Do not go into this world, this beautiful creative world of artificial intelligence, of using technology and apps to grow yourself and grow your endeavors. Do not let it intimidate you. It is not that deep. You are so much deeper. Okay, take care. And don't you want to try it? Until next time.
App fabulous, don't you wanna try it?